Hi everybody, and welcome back to Everything Green Tractors. Today we're finishing up the stump removal series, and this is the final of the 3 stumps. This tree is actually 3 trees that started growing together, which means it's going to be a little bit more challenging to get this one out of the ground. As I indicated at the last video, we will have to use different techniques to remove this because this tree is a monster. And to give you just a little bit of perspective of the size of the stump, it's somewhere in the realm of Frankenstein. I'm definitely not going to be able to lift this stump, so I just have to be patient and use techniques and know the limits of my tractor. First thing I'm going to do is make sure that I start out by positioning my tractor in the right place, which is in this case behind the stump, so that I can work beyond the tree to uncover about 1/4 of the root ball at a time. Once I've positioned the tractor, I'm going to start exploring. I'm digging about 3 feet away from the tree looking for large roots. This is typically what I do with a larger tree, and when I find one, I'll pull the tractor a little bit closer and I'll start to work my way away from the trunk and find where I can start to break it and then work my way back towards the tree. And even though you can't see it very well right here, I actually have found one, and I'm kind of digging away from the tree, and I'm trying to uncover as much of that tree as I can. And there you can see it being uncovered, and I'm starting to pull it out of the ground. And this one is about maybe 10 feet from the tree, and it still continues on. I was able to break it, and now I'm just going to start working back toward the stump and doing my best to uncover as much of that root system as I can. Once I find a root, I work on top of it, and then I'll work to get behind it and beneath it. As I continue on, you can see that I'm using the backhoe to push the tractor back and reposition myself, which saves me a lot of time. Running the video at a high rate of speed actually, I think, makes it easier to see the pattern that I'm working. I'm dumping everything to the side, and I'm keeping all the digging directly behind the backhoe. And this actually keeps the backhoe safe, as you might recall in the last video how easy it is. You can see here I'm also working to uncover roots. In this case, there's a huge root behind the tractor, and I'm actually digging underneath it, and then I'm pushing back from that root and digging in front of it until it's completely exposed. And in order for me to get this tree out, I really need to get underneath the root ball, and with stumps like that in the way, there's no way I'm going to be able to dig down that low. I will try my best to break them, but eventually you get to the point where you know that you're going to have to do something different. So I'll grab a broom and sweep off each of the roots, and then I'll grab a chainsaw with a very old blade, and then I'll go ahead and take care to cut through each of the stumps. And you're going to hear that I go full speed at the beginning, but then as I get toward the bottom, I'm going to slow the chainsaw down and in hopes that I'm going to save the blade from going into the dirt. And I'm usually pretty good at this technique. Once in a while you'll hit the ground, but if it's a slower speed, you don't do as much damage. And I'm just getting it as close to the tree at this point as I can so that I can continue to dig under the tree stump. And with the roots gone, you can see that I'm able to get underneath the tree stump. And at this point, I'm digging down about 5 feet and clearing as much around that tree as I can. Because eventually I'm going to need to push it and try and rock it in the hole that it's at. And I'm going to have to repeat the process of cutting the tree roots out here several times. These are not anything I'm going to be able to break with the backhoe. While I try to position my tractor only 4 times while I'm unburying a stump, a lot of times you have to reposition the tractor so that you're perpendicular to a root that's growing under the ground. Like in this case, you can see that I was able to pull it up with my backhoe and break it off. And then I'm going to work to clear the rest of the stump. Eventually I'm going to have to cut this one too because I'm not able to get underneath it. The other reason why I cut the roots is because sometimes if you reach underneath the root, you can rip off the hydraulic hoses on top of the cylinders of your tractor. So you want to be very careful you don't do that. And at this point I'm ready to go ahead to test and see if I can move this stump. And if I even see that much movement, that means the tree is ready to go. And there might be a taproot on the bottom of this tree, but if I can go ahead and fill in the hole, and work to push the tree back using as much of that leverage on the stump as I can, pushing high on the stump. You can see I'm able to budge it back and forth, and I'll just gently go back and forth on the stump. I'll push some more dirt into the hole and dig an access ramp. I want to get closer to the tree, and then I'll once I'm there, I will rock the tree forward, push more dirt in the hole, rock the tree forward, push more dirt in the hole, and eventually it starts to raise itself out of the ground as I continue to compact the soil underneath the root ball. And this is a very heavy root ball. You can see that if I took my foot off the pedal, it would actually push the tractor back. So all I'm doing right now is really trying to get dirt underneath it, and you can see each time I do, the tree raises up out of the ground a little bit more. And once I'm satisfied with one side, I'll move back over to the other side of the tree, and I'll do the same thing. Shove dirt into the hole. I'll push the tree back over, allowing that dirt underneath the tree to compact. And as you watch the top of that tree, you're going to see that it continues to raise up, and I'm going to continue to shove as much dirt into the hole as I can, and rocking it all the way around. And remember, I had dug down about 5 feet underneath the below the surface there, so really I'm filling in that trench right now all the way around the tree, but then I just push it back and compact the soil. I had a really good question about whether or not you always have to use the grapple for this technique, and the answer is no. I've done this technique with the loader bucket on too. Pretty much all I'm doing is pushing the tree, and both of them do a good job. The bucket actually does a little bit better job of backfilling, but you can use either the bucket or the grapple for both. And another good question that I had is whether or not I use chains to pull the stumps out of the ground, and the answer is no. I stopped using chains on the tractor because I felt like I was doing damage to the frame, and I wanted to be careful about bending things, so I really don't use chains that much anymore for like removing stumps or pulling things out of the ground. I typically use chains to pull like a heavy log across the ground, and I'm making sure that I'm attached to something that is not going to bend, and I'm very careful not to jam the tractor into high gear and just take off as fast as I can. And at this point, I'm using the grapple. I could use a bucket to do this too, to lock onto the top of the tree and get it to lay down. And then I go to shove dirt underneath the root ball at this point to keep it from rocking back. I want to get as much dirt off the bottom of the root ball as I can, so I'm using the grapple. I could use the loader bucket too. And I want to make the stump as light as I can. And this is also why you don't cut the trunk of a tree below 3 feet, because I can leverage the tree. And now I'm pretty well set to push the tree out of the hole by driving right into it. Once I feel that it's safe, I'm actually filling the hole back in on the bottom and trying to get as much as I can, and then rolling it out the other side. And with that, this stump is out of the ground, and we're ready to move on to the next phase of the project. In total, it took me 2 hours and 45 minutes to get the stump out of the ground, which on a warm day in February of 70 degrees, I was pretty happy to spend the afternoon removing this stump. And that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please hit that like and subscribe button, and if you can, share this video with other people that you know as well. This is the 6th video in the land clearing series. Hopefully you liked what you saw today. Please, if you did, hit that like and subscribe button. Please share this video with others. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Phil Dance, and I sell John Deere tractors.